I accidentally grabbed my sister's BL manga, and my roommates saw it. All four of them just stared, their eyes wide in shock. Then, all at once, they turned away. I stuffed the comic in my bag and scrambled into bed. As I was drifting off, I heard them talking. I call his lips. I call his hands. I call his feet. Call his heart. I started shaking with fear. Were they going to kill me to shut me up? I fumbled for my phone to call the cops. But then I heard them arguing. Dude, you're so greedy. Howard is our shared treasure, not just yours. The moment my sister's BL manga fell out of my bag, I basically died. Mark, the leader of our dorm, held the comic with a trembling hand and asked, "Is this the special souvenir you said you brought back for us?" Evan, our resident brainiac, leaned in for a closer look. And it's the original Japanese version, no less. I snapped back to life for a second. My eyes scanned the cover. The image of two gorgeous, naked men in an embrace practically jumped off the page. Dylan, the jock, stared with wide eyes, his face turning pale then red. He turned his head away, shut his eyes and said to Mark, "Dude, just put it back." Once my soul returned to my body, I reached out, grabbed the comic, and shoved it back into my bag. I calmly explained, "This is my sister's book, not mine." I grabbed it by mistake in a hurry. All four of them looked absolutely stunned. They all mumbled, "Oh," one after another. They stared at me for a long time before they all turned away in unison. The silence was deafening. My face was burning. I grabbed my wash basin and toothbrush and escaped into the bathroom. When I came out, they were all gone from the main room. All their bed curtains were drawn shut, like they'd already gone to sleep. I figured the whole thing was over. I turned off the lights, climbed into my bunk, and rushed to get to sleep. I drifted in and out of consciousness. In my drowsy state, I thought I heard someone talking. It was the guys. Dylan's voice was deep, and even though he was trying to whisper, it was still loud. "Do you guys really believe him when he says he grabbed it by mistake?" Mark grunted a couple of reluctant hms. After a moment, he suddenly asked the quietest guy in the room, "Sam. Sam, what about you?" Sam went, "Huh? What about me?" Mark said, "You're not gonna weigh in?" Sam replied, "If Howard says he grabbed it by mistake, then he grabbed it by mistake." I believe him. My heart warmed, and I suddenly felt really touched. All my time spent looking out for this kid hadn't been for nothing. But, Sam continued, "But grabbing it by mistake doesn't mean he hasn't read it." At this point, I was wide awake. These four idiots thought I was gay? This is ridiculous. Dylan suddenly swore, "Damn," sounding furious. "So he's been pretending to be straight this whole time? I've been living with a gay dude for 2 years and had no idea." Evan coughed. "Keep it down, you're gonna wake Howard up." Sam mumbled, "He sleeps like the dead." "Yeah, right." I was staring at my bed curtain so hard I was about to burn a hole through it. I was about to lose my mind over you morons. What a bunch of gossipers. Just let me be straight in peace. I was cursing them out in my head when I heard them continue their discussion. Dylan, I call his lips. Evan, I call his hands. Mark, I call his feet. Sam, I call his heart. I started to tremble with fear. Were they going to kill me and dismember my body? I'm not gay. For crying out loud. I reached for my phone by my pillow, ready to call the police, but then I heard them arguing. "Sam, you're so greedy. Howard is our shared treasure, not just yours. Are you messing with me?" Afraid they might wake me up, the four of them didn't talk for long before they went quiet. Someone lifted my curtain to check on me and tucked me in. Once the dorm was silent except for the sound of snoring, I quietly climbed out of bed to have a smoke outside. There was no way I was getting back to sleep now. That line, "Howard is our shared treasure," kept echoing in my ears. For the first time, I hated the beautiful complexity of language. Treasure. Damn it. Are they all gay? Doesn't that put me in a really dangerous position? I quickly sent a message to my mom. "Mom, if I said I didn't want to live in the dorm anymore and wanted to get a place off campus, would you agree?" Surprisingly, my mom was still awake. She replied, "Message received. Request denied." After a few seconds of despair, I opened up Reddit and posted a plea for help. All my roommates are gay, and I'm the only straight one. What do I do? The first comment came quickly. Sounds like you hit the jackpot. I clicked on it and nearly threw my phone. Then I saw the second comment. It's just 4 of them, lol. I immediately uninstalled the Reddit app. Lying back in bed, the words "it's just 4 of them" lol floated in front of my eyes. I didn't sleep all night. I was on the verge of a breakdown. I grabbed my books and left before they woke up. After breakfast, I went straight to the classroom. When the 4 of them arrived, all the seats next to me were taken, so they had to sit in the front row. Then the dorm group chat started blowing up. Sam. Howard. Why didn't you save us seats? Mark. Howard, my boy. Why are you up so early? Dylan. Howard, you ignoring us? Evan. Howard looks like he didn't sleep well. He's got dark circles. Sitting in the middle of the lecture hall, I could see the 4 of them constantly and obviously turning around to look at me. Some classmates started whispering, their gazes following my roommates to land on me. Eventually, it caught the professor's attention. He joked, "Young man, you keep looking back. Is your girlfriend sitting back there?" The class erupted in laughter. And that punk Sam actually replied, "You could say that, haha." The professor chuckled. "Well, in that case, why don't you switch seats with someone back there?" Seeing him start to get up, I panicked and grabbed my phone, furiously typing in the group chat. "All of you, shut up and pay attention to the lecture. Sam, zip it." When class was finally over, the 4 of them surrounded me and we all went to the cafeteria. Mark said to me, "What do you want to eat?" "I'll go get it." I thought for a moment. The braised pork rice. Mark took my books and went to get in line. I saw the sausage stand and was about to go buy one. Evan stopped me. "I'll get it for you. You go find a spot with Dylan. You know what I want? A sausage." He patted the back of my head and turned to leave. While I was still stunned, Sam took the book and notebook out of my hands and pulled me toward a table. "I see Dylan." When they all came back, I asked Evan for the sausage. Instead, all 4 of them held one out to me at the same time. "Are you guys insane?" I scoffed, looking at the 4 sausages. I reached for Evan's, and he raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Careful, it's hot." "Howard, you should have mine too," Sam whined. I couldn't take it, so I just opened my mouth and took a bite of his. Fine. 2 was my limit, but the other 2 weren't having it. They insisted I eat theirs. Dylan acted like it was my duty. "You ate theirs, so you have to eat ours. You have to treat us all equally. Get it?" Mark nodded in agreement. "Come on, Howard. Open up." This was seriously nuts. Not wanting to cause a scene, I gritted my teeth, took their sausages, and muttered to myself, "It's just 4 of them. I can handle it." Suddenly, a giggle came from behind me. It was a girl. Dylan turned around. "What's so funny?" The girl, embarrassed at being caught, waved her hands and explained, "It's that internet meme." Evan looked confused. "What meme?" The girl blushed and glanced at me. "The one about, it's just 4 of them." Sam, ever the curious one, pulled out his phone to look it up. I tapped my tray and shot him a glare. He immediately put his phone down and obeyed. I heard the girl whisper again, "Wow, he's so obedient." That meal was hard to swallow. That girl must have been what my sister calls a shipper. Someone who finds romantic pairings everywhere they look. Back at the dorm, I tried to climb into my bunk for a nap, but Sam grabbed my ankle. "Dude, you'll get indigestion if you sleep right after eating." I kicked him away. "I'll do what I want." He just hugged my leg, his surprising strength nearly pulling me down, and whined, "Come on, let's play a game. All 5 of us can team up." This kid, with his handsome features, was the best looking of the bunch and the biggest winner. I hadn't played in a while, and he was making my fingers itch. I jumped off my bunk, pulled up a chair, and said, "I'll play ADC." The 4 of them gathered around, picked their roles, and the game started. The first 5 minutes were fine, but after that, things got weird. Even the enemy team was mocking me. "This ADC is trash. My dog could play better." Furious, I quit the party and found a new team. Dylan quit too, took off his shirt, and started his daily workout routine. Evan went on YouTube to watch a live stream of a physics professor's lecture. Sam and Mark kept playing as a duo and, by some coincidence, got matched into my game. Except they were on the opposing team. Time for revenge. This round, I went all out, completely dominating the other team's ADC. Sam's new teammate started flaming him on voice chat. "You useless ADC. Do you even know how to play? Is the enemy ADC your wife or something? You're scared to hit him? If you two are a couple, why didn't you just queue up together instead of coming here to throw our game?" The insults got uglier, so I reported the guy. I looked over at Sam. "Bro, I got your back." Sam looked touched. "Thanks, wifey." Mark smacked him on the back of the head. "What the hell are you saying?" I dropped my phone, cracked my knuckles, and lunged at him. "You're just asking for it." When the weekend came, all four of them had plans, leaving me blissfully alone in the dorm. It was awesome. For the past few days, I couldn't help but see them all as gay, and it had me constantly on edge. Finally, I could relax. I pulled out my sister's manga to investigate. At first, I was resistant, frowning as I read. But soon, I was blushing, my heart racing, unable to wipe the stupid grin off my face. When I got to the last page and realized it wasn't the end, I was dying of suspense. I texted my sister. "Is that manga series finished yet?" "Sister, are you reading it?" "Sister, bro, if you've been kidnapped, just give us a sign. We have enough money to pay the ransom." "Me, shut up. It's me, Howard, your brother." "Sister, what happened? Why are you suddenly gay?" I had to ask her what gay meant in this context. After her explanation, I immediately denied it. "I'm just a straight guy who happens to enjoy reading BL manga." I hid the comic under my bed and started reading the series my sister sent to my phone. I spent the entire weekend holed up in my room, completely engrossed, forgetting to eat or sleep. When they came back, I was trying to catch up on rest. Mark saw my dark circles and asked with concern, "Were you up all night gaming?" I sat up and was about to nod when a glass of water appeared in front of me. Evan gave me his usual warm smile. "Time to get up. Sam bought dinner." I glanced over and saw Dylan and Sam at the desk, opening a pizza box and waving me over. After we finished the pizza, Mark put on a movie for us to watch together. It was called Eden Lake, a horror thriller. But then there was a scene where the main characters were getting hot and heavy in a tent. I thought Mark had put on the wrong movie. Just as I was about to say something, Sam leaned in and whispered in my ear, "What does kissing feel like?" His question caught me off guard. Even though I'd never been in a relationship, at a moment like this, a guy's got to have some pride. I casually said, "Her lips are soft. You feel nervous but happy. You should find a girlfriend and try it." Sam slowly straightened up, a look of utter shock on his face. The other three guys had the exact same expression. Their reaction, I felt a twitch in my cheek, my blood pressure rising. I asked through gritted teeth, "Are you telling me none of you have ever kissed anyone?" They all shook their heads. My face turned beet red, and I yelled at them, "Then who the hell were you trying to fool? And why didn't you include me in the lie? God, this is so embarrassing." Dylan stared at me and then suddenly laughed. He gently grabbed my chin and turned my head back toward the screen. All right, we get it. You're the experienced one. First kiss is gone. Now let's watch the movie." The way he said it sounded just like a dominant character in a manga comforting his partner. Oh God, I think I'm losing it. Ever since I bluffed about my first kiss being gone, the four of them took every opportunity to throw shade at me. For instance, a girl from the English department was pursuing Dylan, and he asked us if we thought she was pretty. Evan held up a photo, then looked at me with a meaningful smile. "She's very pretty, but not my type." Mark never commented on girls' looks. "She's probably not your type, right?" Sam, that blunt kid, was always direct. "Dylan likes them. Endearingly clueless." Endearingly clueless? I didn't remember him liking that type. Back in our freshman year, he said he liked smart, quick-witted girls. Did his taste change that fast? Sam said seriously, like someone who can't tell which way is north when they're outside. I scoffed. "That's way too dumb." Sam turned to look at me, pausing for a second. Like someone who can't remember which classroom is for which class and always goes to the wrong one. My thoughts screeched to a halt. Those behaviors sounded disturbingly familiar. The moment Sam covered his mouth with one hand and turned his head away, I got it. Damn it. He was talking about me. I can't fall into his trap. Ignore it, just ignore it. That afternoon, I was alone in the dorm and pulled out the manga to reread it. A few pages in, my phone rang. It was a delivery driver telling me to come get a package. Because I didn't remember buying anything, I asked the driver what it was and who sent it. When he told me the name, my heart leaped. I threw on my shoes and ran outside. It was the BL manga my sister had sent me. I was happily walking back to the dorm, clutching the box. Then, I remembered something. In my rush to leave, I don't think I hid the manga I was reading. I think I just casually tossed it on Evan's desk. I sprinted back to the dorm like a rocket and ran right into Evan at the door. He saw me panting and reached out to steady me. What's wrong? I pushed the door open, desperate, and froze when I saw who was inside. Mark, Dylan, and Sam were standing in front of Evan's desk, looking down at the manga in Dylan's hands. I instinctively started to back away, but a hand on my back stopped me. Evan gently pushed me inside and closed the door behind us. The three of them looked past me and asked Evan, "You're secretly reading this?" I was terrified Evan would deny it, and my body started to tremble uncontrollably. Evan took the manga and said, "Yeah, I asked Howard for it. Just doing some research." He suddenly looked at me. "Right?" I reacted almost instantly. "Yes, that's right." Evan's lips curved into a smile. He then turned back to the others. "You guys should check it out too. It's good. Really good." I didn't dare get involved. I quickly threw my package under the desk, put on my headphones, and pretended to start a game. Mark got called away by our advisor, Sam was playing a game, and Dylan went to take a shower. I quickly washed up and climbed into bed, ready to read my new manga. Suddenly, the curtain below me was thrown open, and someone climbed in. I was so startled I was about to scream, but a hand clamped over my mouth. "Sure, it's me." Evan lowered his head, propping himself up with one hand next to my head. I asked in a whisper, "What are you doing?" "Evan, you're the one who left the manga out, right?" I played dumb. "I don't know what you're talking about." He scoffed, leaning in even closer. I could feel his breath on my face. "This is insane. I never should have provoked him." I tried to roll over and escape, but he held my shoulders down, forcing me onto my back. Then his lips were on mine. It lasted for about 3 seconds before he pulled back, hovering over me. "I'm stealing your first kiss." I was stunned. In that moment, a jolt like an electric shock shot through my entire body. My chest grew warm, and my heart started beating wildly. It felt like something was trying to burst out from under my skin. Evan poked me with his finger. "You still alive?" I slowly came back to my senses, turned my head to meet his gaze, and just stared. Evan looked exactly like how you'd imagine a top student. Refined and handsome, with long, intelligent eyes and monolids. He looked smart with a hint of a sly side. I bit my lip, tilted my head up slightly, and slammed my forehead into his. Thud. Sam's gaming noises stopped abruptly. "Howard?" he called out. I didn't answer him. The sound of a chair scraping the floor. It seemed like he was coming over. I glared at Evan, silently telling him to get the hell back to his own bed. But the guy just lay down next to me, pillowing his head on his arm with a defiant, challenging smile. Just before Sam pulled back my curtain, I poked my head out and told him, "It's nothing. I just bumped my head." Sam said, "Oh," and once he was sure I was okay, he went back to his game. After sending him away, I turned back to haul Evan out of my bed. It took a while, but I finally got him to leave. The next day, they all acted normal, so I guess Evan kept his mouth shut. But I didn't dare to be alone with him anymore. I even stopped drawing my bed curtain when I slept. They asked me why. I said it was too dark and stuffy. But everyone knows you have curtains on your bunk for privacy and to block out the light. But they don't do a thing to keep out dogs. Because there was always someone in the dorm, I never got a chance to open the package I'd hidden under my desk. One day, while they were all taking a nap, I grabbed the box and took it to the bathroom to open it. I was halfway through when Dylan saw me. He squeezed into the bathroom, crouching on the floor and looking at the brightly colored comics in my arms. You read this stuff too? I'm buying it for my sister. Dylan raised an eyebrow. Then why are you hiding in here to open it? I was afraid of making you guys uncomfortable. Huh? I complained silently in my head. I'm afraid of awakening the freaks within you. I'm straight, so it's no big deal if I read this stuff. But you guys are gay. If you read it, who knows what kind of crazy things you might do. Seeing that I wasn't talking, Dylan suddenly stood up, his large frame looming over me. Alarm bells went off in my head. What are you doing? Dylan cupped my face. Howard, you like guys. I denied it. I'm not, I don't. Dylan tilted his head, a cocky smile on his face. Don't bother explaining. You definitely like guys. Your ears are all red. I looked in the mirror. My ears, and even my neck, had turned red at some point. He reached out, pinched my earlobe and gently rubbed it before leaning in, and pecked it with his lips. Oh, hell no. I shoved him away forcefully. Just as I was about to curse him out, he sealed my lips with his. This wasn't just a light, fleeting kiss. He bit my lip, and when I gasped, his tongue slipped inside. He held my head and said, "This is your first kiss, right?" I rolled my eyes, slapping his back hard. Dylan held me tighter, pulling me into a close embrace. Doesn't matter. I'm the one who gave you the longest kiss. I almost passed out from lack of air that day. Dylan carried me out of the bathroom. The others were still asleep. I lay in bed for a long time before I recovered. Then I blocked Dylan. He didn't pester me to unblock him, since we were still in the group chat where he could talk to me. But I mostly ignored him. Mark and Sam thought Dylan had made me angry, while Evan's gaze held a new layer of scrutiny. What are you looking at? You're just as bad as he is. The Mid-Autumn Festival holiday was approaching, and Mark suddenly proposed a trip. I was planning on just chilling in the dorm, but when I heard beach, I was immediately tempted. I've lived my whole life seeing nothing but the small river near my house. I'd never seen the real ocean. I cast the first vote in favor. Soon enough, everyone else agreed. After booking our train tickets, we hit a snag when it came to the hotel. 5 people. 2 rooms weren't enough, but 3 felt like too many. Mark made a suggestion. Let's book 2 rooms. Howard can share a bed with me. The other 3 immediately shot him down. No way. They argued back and forth, none of them willing to share a room with anyone else. But they were all fine with sharing with me. I just booked a single room for myself. I'll stay by myself. You 4 can figure it out. That shut them up. As I was packing, Sam quietly asked me, "Aren't you scared to stay by yourself?" I scoffed. "You don't know how brave I am?" He frowned, his voice low. "Staying in the room at the end of the hall is bad luck. You might run into a ghost. You should be careful, bro." I was speechless. I turned and put him in a headlock. "I'm about to turn you into a ghost," I said menacingly. We left in the morning and arrived in the afternoon. The weather looked good for a sunset, so we dropped our bags at the hotel and walked to the beach. It wasn't even time yet, but the beach was already crowded with people taking pictures. Mark brought his DSLR camera and told us to pose so he could take our pictures. I hate having my picture taken and posed so stiffly I looked like a mannequin, only knowing how to flash a peace sign. Dylan was a natural in front of the camera. He often posted photos on his social media, attracting a lot of followers. He adjusted my poses and Mark snapped a few shots. I took a look and they were surprisingly good. "Mark, you're an amazing photographer." Mark paused for a second, then smiled. "It's because you're good looking." My face flushed a little. I stepped aside to watch him take pictures of Sam and the others. He was really charming in that moment. I readily agreed and walked over to the spot with her. The girl handed me her phone, gave me a few instructions, and ran back to her friend. "Okay, you can start. Please take a bunch of photos." I gave her an okay sign and started shooting. I take a few, check them, and then take some more. After about 5 minutes, both girls were satisfied and bowed to thank me. I smiled, about to leave, but they called out to me again. "Hey, could we get your number?" I was hesitating when an arm suddenly wrapped around my chest from behind. Sam leaned on my shoulder. "Bro, what are you doing over here?" The girls saw Sam, and their eyes widened, practically sparkling. You could read the "this one's even cuter" thought on their faces. I said, helping them take pictures. Sam asked, "Are you done?" I said, "Yeah, we're done." Sam slung his arm around my shoulder and started walking back. "Let's go then. The sun's about to set." I turned back and gave the girls an apologetic smile. "Sorry." After watching the sunset, we found a small restaurant and had a seafood dinner. We were all in high spirits and drank a lot. By the time we paid the bill, only 2 of us were still sober. Me and Evan. I was exhausted by the time I got them all back to the hotel and into their beds. I was about to go back to my own room when I remembered Sam's warning about the end of hallway ghost. And I suddenly didn't dare to stay in the single room alone. So, under the pretext of taking care of them, I stayed in Sam and Dylan's room. The room had a big sofa that was perfectly fine for one person to sleep on. I turned off the lights and lay down. I was dreaming when I vaguely felt someone next to me. I pried my eyes open and saw Sam sitting on the floor, leaning against the sofa, watching me. I sat up and asked him, "Why are you awake? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Or do you want some water?" Sam shook his head. "I want to sleep with you." Seeing he was still drunk, I sighed. I couldn't argue with him. I stood up to help him to his feet, but he suddenly pushed me down. We both tumbled onto the sofa with me on top. "Sam, let go."
Sam, no.
He was strong, holding me tight and nuzzling his head against my neck. He had just gotten a haircut before the trip, and the short, fine hairs tickled my skin. It was a little painful, a little itchy, and a little strange. I froze, looking down to see that he was licking me. My mind went blank. I used all my strength to break free, but before I could escape, he pulled me back, grabbed my head, and kissed me. "Sam confessed to me, bro, I like you." He cried as he kissed me, which completely stunned me. "I really, really like you." Sam cried himself to sleep, repeating "I like you" over and over. I wiped his face, covered him with a blanket, and after checking on Dylan, I slipped out of the room. It was 4 a.m., and the sky was still dark, but there were already people out on the streets. Some were heading to the beach to watch the sunrise. With my phone in my pocket, I walked aimlessly. If I had brushed off the first 2 incidents as jokes, Sam's confession tonight made it impossible for me to keep running away from it. Do they all really like me? And how do I feel about them? Do I hate it? Doesn't seem like it. Am I happy? More like shocked and completely lost. As I walked, the sky began to lighten, a pale white showing in the east. I checked a map and realized I had walked over 10 kilometers. I started to head back, but at an intersection, I saw Mark, still in his pajamas. "Mark?" I called out softly. Mark looked up, saw me, and ran across the street, pulling me into a hug. "Howard, where did you run off to?" I rarely heard him use my full name. I hugged him back and patted his back. I woke up and just went for a walk. Mark held on tight, breathing heavily. "You could have asked me to come with you. You scared the hell out of me. I thought you were lost." I chuckled. "I'm a grown man. How could I get lost?" After calming Mark down, we started walking back together. At the next intersection, we saw Evan. Then Dylan, then Sam. They were all awake. I couldn't meet Sam's eyes. I said softly, "You guys, I just couldn't sleep." Since we were all up, the 5 of us went to the beach and sat on the sand to watch the sunrise together. Evan draped his jacket over my shoulders, and Dylan bought me a hot drink. I leaned comfortably against Mark's shoulder, watching the sun slowly rise from the horizon. When I woke up, I found myself in bed. Evan told me I'd fallen asleep watching the sunrise and that Sam had carried me back. I looked up and saw them all sitting in different spots around the room, quietly waiting for me. It felt like something had happened. As I was still pondering this, Mark walked over. "Get up. We still have a lot of places to see." That afternoon, the 5 of us visited 3 different spots. When we got to the last photo op location, I pulled Mark in for a selfie. He suddenly whispered in my ear, "Howard, I like you." His voice entered my ear at the same time as the camera's shutter clicked. I turned to look at him, at his gentle face, and honestly, I wasn't that shocked. He was the only one who hadn't made a move on me. "You?" I stammered. While I was still dazed, Mark walked away, and Evan came to my side. He stood shoulder to shoulder with me, not too close, and also flashed the universal peace sign. Looking at the camera, I slowly broke into a smile. As I pressed the shutter button, he suddenly turned his head. "Howard, I like you." He left as soon as the picture was taken. Soon, Dylan came over, casually slung his arm over my shoulder, helped me steady my phone, and confessed, "Howard, I like you." I quickly understood what they were doing. They must have all confessed to each other that morning. And now they were taking turns taking pictures with me and telling me how they felt. Sam walked up to me, and my heart hammered against my ribs. He reached out and fixed my hair, which had been messed up by the wind. Then he leaned against me and held up the phone. "I'm sorry. I scared you yesterday. That was my fault. Howard, I like you." After we took the picture, Mark and the others came over and we all took a group photo. The wind that day, the very air, seemed to carry a voice that said to me, "Howard, I like you. Help. What do I do when 4 guys confess to me at the same time?" I went back on Reddit and made a new post. "Spicy sweet cutie. How do I get 4 guys to chase me? Just here for the fish. Best option is to date the first one, then the second one, then the third one, and then the fourth one. Sweaty bro. Hey, could you delete this? I'm fine, but my friend is starting to sweat a little. He's not feeling great and wants to sleep. It's not me, of course. I'm always cool." I watched the comments roll in, feeling more and more lost. So at dinner, I just started chugging beer. Evan saw how much I was drinking and tried to stop me. "Howard, you're drinking too much." I popped open another bottle and poured it into my glass. "It's fine, I don't get drunk." My alcohol tolerance was legendary. I could just keep drinking. Dylan glanced at me and smiled. "He's happy. Let him drink." Sam piled my plate with meat, telling me to eat. The atmosphere was peaceful and happy. Just then, I noticed a group of girls at the next table seemed to be looking at us. On an impulse, I waved at them. "Hi." The 4 guys froze, looking at me, then at the girls. They exchanged awkward smiles. A little while later, one of the girls came over to ask for our numbers. Mark and the others all turned her down. When it was my turn, I saw the girl's face was beet red. I could see how embarrassed she was, so I pulled out my phone. Sure. Ding. We were connected. The girl happily said thanks and ran off. I looked down, accepted her friend request, and sent my name. When I looked up, 4 pairs of eyes were staring at me. 4 sad, puppy dog faces. I was just trying to be polite. She looked like she was about to cry. I explained. Sam's face crumpled. "Bro, I'm about to cry too. Go ahead. Who's a better crier than you?" This kid only had 2 moves: crying and whining. I was starting to feel the pressure. I grabbed my glass and downed it in frustration, muttering to myself, "It's not like I'm a player just for giving out my number." I took another drink. They were still silent. I kicked the table leg, slammed my hand on the table, and hissed in a low voice, "I'm not into girls." Okay. On the way back, I slept the whole time. I had drunk too much the night before and spent half the night throwing up. I had bothered each of them in turn. When it was time to get up, I was dead tired and wanted to stay in bed. The 4 of them dragged me out just in time to catch the train, taking turns letting me use them as a pillow. When we finally got back to the dorm, I climbed into bed, ready for more sleep, but all 4 of them were standing by my bed. "Are you my bodyguards now?" Dylan cut straight to the chase. "You haven't given us an answer." I rubbed my face against my pillow a couple of times before answering. "I don't know how to answer." They looked at each other, then back at me. I yawned. "I can only choose one of you, right?" None of them reacted, as if they were afraid that speaking up would mean they'd already lost. I couldn't stay awake any longer and closed my eyes, mumbling, "I'll tell you when I wake up. Don't bother me. Wake me up for dinner." Strangely, none of them pressed me further. The calendar pages kept turning. Graduation was almost here. I called the 4 of them to sit around the table, like it was our first meeting and our first farewell. The day I pulled out that manga, I was actually awake. I heard everything you said. At first, I thought you were afraid I'd found out you were gay and wanted to chop me up to silence me. I never expected it was because you liked me. All four of them were shocked, having no idea I had known for so long. Sam was more mature now. His eyes were red as he said, his voice thick with emotion, "Howard, no matter who you choose, I'll be happy for you." Evan looked serious, but a small smile played on his lips. "I'll respect whatever choice you make." Dylan, seeing our impending separation, looked a little sad and just said 2 words, "I'll wait." Mark's charming eyes looked even more gentle and deep. "Don't feel any pressure." After they had all spoken, I picked up my suitcase and walked to the door. "I'll send my answer to that person. Goodbye." I was the first to leave the dorm, the first to leave campus. August 10th. I began my 2-month post-graduation trip. As soon as I got out of the subway station, I saw them standing at the exit. All 4 of them were there. Lined up in a row, they looked like models who had walked straight out of a manga. I walked over to them and said, "Choosing 1 out of 4 isn't a bad problem to have. But I think all 4 answers are correct." The 4 of them smiled at me, and in unison, they called my name Howard.